village called Snow Hill in Long Island. Went on to Capitol Hill in Washington, and then went on to a mountain, Mount Fitzwilliam.
It's the culmination of a lifetime of public service. Good evening, everyone. I'm Julian Reed.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jimenita Swain, and we're coming to you live from the lower grounds at Government House for a wonderful ceremony. We see a number of guests arriving, Julian.
Yes, it is the farewell ceremony of the outgoing Governor General, His Excellency, Honorable Sir Cornelius A. Smith. Now, it's a rainy Thursday evening here in Nassau, but that's not going to stop the event today.
No, they says rain stops no show. We see a number of, greetings taking place now under the tent where the special ceremony is set to take place. We see Minister Bell, the former Prime Minister Christie, the Attorney General. This is the Charge d'Affaires, Miss Usha Pitts from the U.S. Embassy, talking there with Minister Alfred Sayers and the AG, just sharing, some pleasantries before the official festivities kick off.
Well, the room has filled up quite quickly, Jimenita.
Despite the rain, I guess people were waiting for a few minutes, but the protocol officers seem to just make some adjustments, and everyone is getting in place, getting ready for the occasion.
Absolutely. Now, the ceremony should take about an hour or so. We will be on until that happens, and then we'll be bringing it to you directly from the lower grounds here at Mount Fitzwilliam. Now, we have a special guest, Jimenita. You care to introduce our guest?
Yes, he is the person of Mr. Jack Thompson. He's the permanent secretary for the National Independent Secretariat, and for the last 3 years, he has been working closely with His Excellency. So good evening, Mr. Thompson, and welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you. What an honor. Certainly a pleasure.
So we have gotten to this point where the GG is about to demit office. How has the experience been for you, having worked so closely with His Excellency for the last 3 years?
The experience, quite rewarding, interesting. I never thought from Windsor Lane east to Mount Fitzwilliam would have happened in my life. It's been such a rewarding experience. His Excellency is passionate about time. He's all about excellence. He takes his work seriously. He reports every day to work. He leaves in the afternoon, late afternoon, and he's all about reaching out to the senior citizens, the young persons. We've had a number of tours in the family islands to the school children. And so it's been a wonderful experience for me. It must be one of the highlights. To work here, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely, particularly when you think that in his childhood, it would have been a very different Bahamas.
That's right.
And this would have been a place where you might not have actually had access to.
That's right. I often say, and he often comments, many years ago, you see it's a pink wall, just a wall, and you wonder what goes on behind that wall. Never thought that you would find yourself as the head of state. What an accomplishment, eh?
Now, we know that having been an educator for a great deal of his life, Sir Cornelius definitely promoted and encouraged education at every turn. But having worked closely with him, what would you say was his greatest achievement as Governor General?
Without a doubt, I must say the enactment of the Governor General's Volunteer Society Act. When I joined him in 2019, he assembled a team of persons from government and non-government, and he says, I want to promote a culture of volunteerism in the Bahamas. I want to get this. And so to have achieved that that's no small feat. That's no minor feat. That's huge.
And obviously it would reflect with the type of person that he is.
That's right.
Because he is one that believes in service and giving back. We've seen the contributions he's made moving from the private sector into the public sector. You know, he served, as you mentioned, Reed, earlier a moments ago, that he was a teacher. He worked for the Customs Department. He worked at, I think, Syntax for a number of years in Grand Bahama, and he served as a cabinet minister for, I think, a number of years as well. So he has moved through the service, and like he rightly pointed out earlier in the clip that we saw, to be now on the mountain.
That's it. That's it. I mean, you know, and he always, remember now, the Governor General's Volunteer Society Act came on the heels, well, the formation of the committee came on the heels of the passage of Dorian.
Yes.
And he visited Davis and he says, you know, if we're going to get this place back to its glory days, or even near to what it should be, we have to have volunteers. And it was based on that experience visiting Grand Bahama and Abaco that he thought we should get together and form the volunteer committee.
Well, let's hear a bit from the Governor General in his own words.
Yes.
We have a clip right here.
Okay.
I was a teacher for some years. I worked for the Customs Department for some years. I then went into politics and served 20 years in government. 10 of those was in opposition and 10 was in government. I really believe that the most important thing in life is to provide service. And if you wish to make contributions, contributing to the country through service to others is the best thing that we can do. And I believe that during those 50 or more years that I have provided some service to my country, I was fortunate to be appointed an ambassador to the United States. I was fortunate to be appointed to non-resident ambassador to many South and Central American countries. And I probably think that I have the distinction of being the one person who was, when I went to the United States as ambassador, I worked along with President Bush as well as President Obama. Same thing happened when I was appointed to as governor. I also served under the late Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and I served under King Charles III. And I think that that's probably a record. Two important countries, heads of states, I've had the opportunity to work with both of them.
So serving under two monarchs, as you rightly mentioned.
Absolutely.
Before we saw that you talked about him visiting Grand Bahama and Abaco during, I guess, the recovery aspect of Dorian.
Yeah.
But also during his tenure, we also saw COVID. He had to contend with that as well. So it was a lot happening.
It was a lot happening, and you know, he attended the service for the late sovereign as well. So you remember he was over there as well, and so the transition, like he said, you know, that's history in itself.
Well,
you know,
yeah, it is, but it's something he has to do because. We have to remember, our head of state is King Charles.
That's right. That's right.
And he is the representative.
He's the representative.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Vice-regal, they call it.
Yes.
But during those years, now, regrettably, he had to spend a lot of time outside of Government House because the property's been under and the building's been under renovation.
Yes.
Almost finished now?
Almost finished. Just about completed now. I think it's just a matter of sourcing the furniture, and I want to say before the end of the year for sure. I almost want to say Thanksgiving. I think the new governor should be in the house.
That's great. That's great. There's so much history in this place right here.
Absolutely.
When you think of the people over the years who've actually been living there.
That's right.
It's really quite something in itself. Take a looking on your screen now. We're seeing some members of government there. I see Ginger Moxie, Tammy Lisa Roming, Alfred Sears,
Jomo Campbell.
and Jomo Campbell behind them. Yeah. And I'm seeing former politicians too. There's Sir Michael. And there's Alison Maynard Gibson.
Yes.
And it's the former Prime Minister, Mr. Ingram, is there as
I know
well,
he
just
would be
behind
here.
Jomo Campbell. He's there in the
now I
audience.
see him, yes.
And the Right Honorable Algernon Allen.
Right. And they would have served at the same time, in the same cabinet.
Absolutely.
At one point.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So the room is definitely slowly filling up, but we heard some rolls of thunder. We had some showers of blessings, but it doesn't seem to have deterred those that really wanted
It did
to
come
be
down
here.
quite hard at one point, didn't it,
Yes,
Benita?
but they weren't deterred. So you are watching our pre-show coverage of a farewell to His Excellency, but we will be right back. So just get comfortable and
first
join
of all, I
us.
must thank the good people of Pine Ridge who, without their having me to serve them in Parliament for 20 years, I wouldn't have been where I am today.
On Friday, September 1st, from the grounds of Government House, join the ZNS Television Network as we bring you live coverage of the official induction ceremony of the Right Honorable Cynthia Pratt as Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's this Friday, September 1st at 8:30 a.m. from the grounds of Government House. And it is only on the ZNS Television Network.
We are here in the time of need. There's no discrimination. The mission is to relieve the suffering. We volunteer, we deliver care. With donors and partners, we're always here to turn compassion into action. Protecting life and health with our training throughout the years. We empower to heal the world. There is hope, assistance with disasters. There is shelter and love for our people. We can work together to help those in need. So volunteer with us and donate to show you care. There is hope, assistance with disasters. There is shelter and love for our people. We can work together to help those in need. So volunteer with us and donate to show you care. Together, let's build a more resilient Bahamas. Community farming for food security. Climate programs suited for our island country. Together, let's build a more resilient Bahamas.
This message brought to you by the Bahamas Red Cross Society in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
I was a teacher for some years. I worked for the Customs Department for some years. I then went into politics and served 20 years in government. 10 of those was in opposition and 10 was in government. I really believe that the most important thing in life is to provide service. And if you wish to make contributions, contributing to the country through service to others is the best thing that we can do. And I believe that during those 50 or more years that I have provided some service to my country, I was fortunate to be appointed an ambassador to the United States. I was fortunate to be appointed to non-resident ambassador to many South and Central American countries. And I probably think that I have the distinction of being the one person who was, when I went to the United States as ambassador, I worked along with President Bush as well as President Obama. Same thing happened when I was appointed to as governor. I also served under the late Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and I served under King Charles III. And I think that that's probably a record. Two important countries, heads of states, have had the opportunity to work with both of them.
And obviously, His Excellency, as he rightly mentioned, he has held a number of positions. But if you looked at the footage closely, the woman of the hour, Lady Clara Smith, is always at his side, always supportive, always being a part of whatever it is he is doing as a partner, as his wife.
I believe she had some health challenges at one point.
Absolutely,
but
yes.
Once she overcame those,
That's right.
she was performing her duty.
That's right, that's right. And one of the things she did was the library for the girls at the prison.
Yes, she recently completed
She
that.
recently completed that as a special project. She thought that the ladies who were incarcerated should have some access to knowledge and to reading, and so that was a special project of Clara Lady Smith.
That's great.
Yeah.
So at this point, any other comments you'd like to make right now about working with the Governor General, the outgoing Governor General?
No, other than to say I thought as a staff member, I thought he performed his duties admirably. I thought whether it was the swearing in of justices, whether it was the swearing in of cabinet ministers, courtesy calls, presentation of credentials, whatever it was, he was always up to it, and he put a lot of energy and time in it.
Any one thing you learned from him that you will keep?
There's so many. Well, I always like to see excellence. I always, and that's, he's all about excellence. Whatever you do, you just do it with all of your energy. He's always had a sense of humor. It makes you, as you said earlier, it makes you feel comfortable, relaxed. You can imagine little kids going to see the governor of the schools. Just the governor? Oh, so immediately he recognizes that, and he, put them at calm. That's wonderful,
Well, the ceremony should get underway in a few minutes or so, but let's give you a little outline as to what's going to happen this evening. Right here in the lower grounds of Mount Fitzwilliam. And the rain has held up, actually. But we're having right now, as you can hear in the background, the music from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Band. The mistress of ceremony today is Mrs. Rosalind Horton, who is the Secretary of the Governor General. The national anthem will be sung after their excellencies enter. An invocation will be made by Bishop Dr. Delton Fernanda. And then we will have remarks from the Deputy Leader of Her Majesty's Loyal Opposition, Shannon Cartwright. A duet by Alyssa Edgecombe and Jessica Scott. And then, of course, an address from the Prime Minister, Philip Davis. Another selection by Danielle Dorset. And then we will hear from Sir Cornelius himself as he gives his farewell remarks. He will then go outside and actually inspect the Guard of Honor for the last time. And at the end of it all, we will have fanfare and a 21-gun salute. So quite a bit to look forward to, Genevieve.
Yes, indeed. Like you said, on the screen, too, we see a number of cabinet ministers and invited guests being seated in preparation for the start of the program. But obviously now we're going to hear from a long-time colleague and friend of His Excellency, Mr. Maurice Moore. Take a look.
Cornelius is a family man, a man who has played a role in society for many years at all levels. And as you would see when I'm through, he is now Demitting office as our 11th Governor General in our independent country. He has served both public and private sector. He really gave the country his service consistently for many years. He did not allow politics to dictate or influence his management, to be non-politics. And he did an excellent job in so doing. CA was my campaign manager, and he and I have a relationship that goes way back to 1967 when I was first elected, and as things went along, he then was elected in 1982. I think his greatest contribution for the forward growth of our citizens and our country came during the time when he was in Parliament, and the role he played in seeing to it that young people who were qualified and who expressed a desire to be qualified, he helped them out at Syntax, and I am proud of the work he's done.
And obviously something you alluded to earlier, Mr. Thompson, has reiterated by Mr. Moore, his encouragement of young people to pursue their academic careers or studies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any number of students are paid courtesy call on the Office of the Governor General, and he would say to those who are going off, the learn, earn, and return. You know, like, I want you back home. We have a space, we have a place here for you.
Make your contribution.
And make your contribution. and they would always smile and say, okay. He said, you promise? You promise me? I said, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So your word was given, you should come back.
He said, your parents, you here, mine? I'm going to be monitoring, I'm going to follow.
Now, I believe if we take a look inside, you're going to see that the room is really quite full now. I don't see that many more people arriving at this point, so I believe the full complement of invitees are here. Now, we heard from one of his colleagues before, but we're now also going to hear from another colleague who considers him a mentor, the Honorable Nico Grant.
You know, the Governor General it's neutral, it's nonpartisan, and I think he played the role extremely well. I have known of CA for some 60 years. Following the victory on August 19, 1992, he was appointed a cabinet minister. Well, I was certainly a junior at that time, and he served as a minister in the 1992 and 1997 terms. And then came the tsunami of 2002, when we were really beaten up. And he was defeated. We were left with 3 seats on Grand Bahama. I was going into my 3rd term. Ken Russell and Lindy Russell, they were going into their 2nd term, and so I was, for all intent and purposes, the senior man on Grand Bahama. I was fortunate to have CA, if you will, to lean on. I leaned on him for advice. I leaned on him for assistance in politics, period. And I'm so pleased to report that he was always there for me and for his party.
And in the case of
To sum up his life, we can say that it was one of service to the community of Grand Bahama and, by extension, the Bahamas. If you look at the roles that he served in the various ministries, and then as ambassador, and his last appointment, if you will, as Governor General, where he did a wonderful job. So, CA, I wish to, on behalf of the wonderful people of the constituency that I once represented, Lakaya, Central Grand Bahama, and I believe I can speak for Grand Bahama. We thank you for your years of service. We wish you long life as you move to the next stage of your life. May God continually bless you.
So obviously some kind words there from one who considered him his mentor.
Absolutely.
You know, he
Right.
gave us
Yes.
a great description of the man that he learned from and
Yeah.
grew from, I guess, in parliamentary life, obviously developing a strong friendship and bond there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's amazing the years. So he said 60 years?
Yeah, it's a long time.
Wow, that's a long
And previous to
Lifetime.
that, you know, Maurice
Yeah.
Moore said he
Right.
was his campaign manager, and that was back in 1967.
Absolutely.
We're seeing, look
Yeah.
at the poll, Peter Turnquist, excuse me, right
Yeah.
there, former finance minister.
Yeah.
Tommy Turnquist.
So Tommy Turnquist.
Now, Tommy
Yes.
Turnquist and Sir Cornelius were part of the first Ingram cabinet, I
Yes.
believe. They
Yes.
served together.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so it's just only fitting that he would be here to
that's right.
see him at this point,
That is true.
the end
That's
of his
right.
public service career.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's just moments away before the official ceremony gets underway. But any final thoughts, Mr. Thompson?
Upon reflection, I thought about the days that he would often visit and encourage the team here at Government House with respect to the construction. And I mean, you would think you put on the hard hat and move that. Don't you think that should put this, you know, and that sort of thing? So he's had a great involvement with the repairs and the renovation here at Government House, and I think that is important to note.
So he seemed that, based on what you have been telling us for the afternoon that we've been chatting, he was very hands-on on whatever he did.
Very hands-on. After church, right here at Christ Church Cathedral, he tell the driver, the chauffeur, take me up there. Let me see what's going on at Government House at the repairs. So, yeah, very much hands-on. Very involved and his input. Yeah, very good.
All right.
Well, we really want to thank you for being here with us,
Thank you for the
giving your
invitation.
perspective,
Yeah.
having worked closely with Sir Cornelius. And we wish you the best and enjoy the
Thank you
actual
so
ceremony,
very much.
which will start momentarily.
Thank
we
you
believe.
very much. Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back with the ceremony after this.
I also have to thank the former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram when he determined and invited me to serve in his cabinet. I think they were all steps towards the position that I hold today.
Years ago, a new era began. 50 years of a small country doing big things. Our faith, our people, and our values are the source of our strength. Together we share joy and survive the hardest times by leaning on each other. Now, as we confront a changing world, we need to grow stronger. That means standing up for ourselves, protecting our borders, investing in our family islands, growing more of what we eat at home, owning more of our economy, and above all, investing in our people. Lifting each other up, that's who we have always been. We know where we came from, so we know where we're going. Happy Independence, Bahamas. May God bless us all.
And then, of course, there was the former Prime Minister Hubert Minnis, who was the person who recommended that I be appointed Governor General of the Bahamas.
So you've been watching our pre-show coverage of a farewell to His Excellency the Most Honorable Cornelius A. Smith. A number of dignitaries already arriving, already seated, and ready for the demission of office.
And look what's happening now, Jimenita, a glimmer of sunshine as the sun is about to set. So here we go. We are going to take you to the ceremony momentarily. Your thoughts about the Governor General, and because even though he's a Long Island man now, right? And he's not the first Governor General from Long Island, too. There have been a couple.
No, he is
right?
not.
Here we have coming in now I'm not quite sure who that is, but anyway.
Some additional invited guests.
Yeah, but he is also a Freeporter like you are, Grand Bahamian, I should say.
Yes, he is a Grand Bahamian.
Does he make Grand Bahama his home?
You know, some people would say a Freeportian, but I don't know what that is. He's a Grand Bahamian.
Yeah.
So I imagine he is. What I appreciate about him, as Mr. Thompson mentioned earlier, he is a man of time. Mm-hmm. When we often went to those assignments where they'd be swearing in or whatever, even when he visited with centenarians for their birthday, he was a man of time. Always on time, always gracious. You know, and to see where he's come from, I would imagine it can give anybody hope to say you never know where your life ends up. Like if he's one that encourages young people to pursue whatever their dreams, their passions are, and obviously give back in service, that's an important message.
And of course, as Governor General, one of your key roles is to be a unifier,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But you have to set the example, set the tone for the rest of the country. And punctuality is a very important thing, particularly when you think about what our record is as Bahamians. but in the real world, it's very important to have that kind of quality. So it's good that he actually sort of demonstrated that throughout his career.
And during the duration of, I guess, this waiting period, obviously the Royal Bahamas Police Force Pop Band is doing what they do best as well. And they are great ambassadors of excellence in music and performance as well. So, I mean, we're outside, but we're jamming to their music as well. But we saw Mr. Algernon Allen in the audience a few moments ago. So a number of, I guess, close friends and colleagues of the outgoing Governor General in attendance.
Those people who served in the cabinet at the same time as he did.
Yeah.
Those who were able to be here, I'm sure, there's no way you could stop them.
No, and you rightly mentioned earlier that there was some showers, and now the sun is coming out, so it's going to dry up this water and maybe encourage whoever is remaining to quickly get in place, take their seats, because we imagine this, as you mentioned earlier, the program will get started pretty soon.
And more importantly, too, it's because there's going to be the inspection of the guard.
Yes.
And that is going to be outside here, and I think we're going to have a bird's eye view of that. So we're looking forward to it. So we hope that the rain stays at bay for at least another hour or two.
Yes, because we want to see, obviously he wants to have his final moment, the final inspection of the guard, because pump and pageantry is a part of what's happening as well. Mm-hmm. And like you say, I told you, they are being entertained. And we see a number of former ministers as well. There's former Minister Renwood Wells, Court of Appeal, former President of the Court of Appeal, I think that is.
Brian Marie.
Brian.
But let's say, let me tell you one thing though. COVID-19 and Dorian. And of course tomorrow is the anniversary of Dorian. But Sir Cornelius was Governor General throughout that. And let's hear what was said about those challenges that the nation faced, and the world faced, actually, as far as COVID-19 is concerned. But Dorian for the Bahamas.
As fate would have it, on the Thursday in which we were going to launch volunteerism, we had all of the schools. We wanted to launch it among the school children. They were all prepared to come on Thursday, and we had to cancel it because that was the very same day that the government had to close shutdown. So that really struck a chord with me, in that one of my signature program was being diverted because of COVID. The other low point, quite frankly, was what happened to Grand Bahama and Abaco with Dorian. As you know, I'm from Grand Bahama, and the devastation that I witnessed immediately after the storm was just unbelievable. You could not imagine what has happened. And that is why I am so concerned that as we prepare our young people who go away to school, we should make sure that we impress upon them to do some very important scientific subjects, coastal engineering, so that they have some idea of how we are able to build resilience. These are very important areas of study for our young people, because climate change and sea rise levels are going to affect us dramatically.
And as you mentioned, low points, COVID, Hurricane Dorian, that caused massive devastation in Grand Bahama and Abaco. But nonetheless, we persevered, we made it through, and a number of additional guests making their push to get inside.
The Deputy Prime Minister and his wife just arrived. Of course, the Governor General will be coming soon. The Prime Minister will be seated, and then the Governor General will come in, and Lady Clara.
And that's the Chief Justice, Mr. Ian Winder.
Sir Ian Winder, yes. This is, I think, well, definitely it would be the first for him as far as seeing an outgoing Governor General and an incoming one tomorrow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. In his new capacity. Now, we just saw a lot of other people arriving, a lot of other guests arriving, so these empty chairs that we're seeing here right now, within a few minutes, will probably be occupied.
And now we have
here
the
comes
arrival.
the Governor General.
The Honorable Philip Davis.
Well, this
Prime
is
Minister is here
the
first.
Prime Minister.
Davis.
Now, my eyes are sort of giving me what I see. I'm seeing the Prime Minister and Mrs. Davis with a matching kind of teal.
Complimentary, yes. Very complimentary in the attire. It's a national moment.
It is. Of course it is.
We
It
expect
is.
that.
It is. Yeah, it's the, at this point, the highest office any Bahamian could hold outside of Prime Minister.
Governor General and Clara Lady Smith all stand and remain standing for the national anthem, followed by the invocation by Bishop Delton Fernando, President of the Bahamas Christian Council.
Well, we'll take you straight to the ceremony now, and we'll have some comment.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, the name of the Son, the name of His Holy Spirit. Most gracious and holy God, we pause to thank You for the blessing that is today. That You send the sunshine and the rain, the remnants of evidence of Your grace on these lands, the remnants of a hurricane that You allowed to pass by these islands. And we pray for our brothers and sisters in the Florida area. Now, God, we pause as a grateful nation to thank You for our 11th Governor General, for his tenure, his service, his grace, and Lady Smith as they challenged us to open our hearts to become a more loving, compassionate, volunteering Bahamas. Now, as they prepare to leave these historical hills, I pray that the same God that graced them to be here, the same God will grace their life to carry on. It is in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Bishop Fernanda. Your Excellencies, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius Smith and Clara Lady Smith, the Honorable Philip Davis, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, and Mrs. Davis, Sir Ian Winder, Chief Justice, and Marie Jacqueline, Lady Winder, the Honorable I. Chester Cooper, Deputy Prime Minister and Mrs. Cooper, Mr. Shenandoah Cartwright, Deputy Leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition, and Mrs. Cartwright, members of Cabinet, Senators, Justices, Members of Parliament, former Governors Generals, former Prime Ministers, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Secretary to the Cabinet, Ministers of Clergy, Senior Government Officials, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am Rosalind Dorset Horton, Secretary to the Governor General, and I am honored to serve as your Mistress of Ceremony this evening. We are gathered here at Mount Fitzwilliam to salute this country's 11th Governor General as he demits office. His Excellency the Governor General has served the Bahamian people well for the past 4 years. During 2 challenging events in our country's recent history, namely a destructive hurricane and a pandemic, the Governor General reunited us as a people by reminding us of our collective love for each other and that we are our brother's keeper. His efforts and passion sparked the formation of the Governors General's Volunteer Society and reignited the spirit of volunteerism in the Bahamas. Sir Cornelius has represented the Bahamian people with excellence, skill, and passion, whether receiving ambassadors, members of civic, fraternal, or social organizations, celebrating with cancer survivors, congratulating Bahamian authors at church anniversaries, regattas, and recognizing outstanding efforts of public servants, or inspiring school children to excel. We should be proud of our 11th Governor General and Clara Lady Smith. I now invite Mr. Shenandoah Cartwright, Deputy Leader, to bring remarks on behalf of the Leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition. Welcome as he comes.
I stand here on the established protocol to wish all of you a good evening. We are in our 50 years of independence as a nation, and we gather here today to reaffirm the greatness of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas understanding that that greatness is not promised, but it is earned. Earned through the service, the sacrifice, the selflessness of our citizens, our greatest sons and daughters. Great citizens make great nations. Your Excellency, you are one of our country's greatest sons. You have illuminated the corridors of Bahamian history by your service and commitment to the Bahamian people, and the country is forever grateful for what you have given the Bahamian people. And while the formality of this moment cannot escape us, the gravity no less is just important, that you, Your Excellency, is indeed a great Bahamian. Every so often, we hear about the contributions of Bahamians from all walks of life. And to put it very simply, rarely are you remembered for the distinctions before and after your name, but you are remembered for how you enriched the lives of your people and how you advanced the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Your Excellency, your life has been a testament to true patriotism. From your very humble beginnings in Long Island, your beloved Long Island, Your Excellency, to your participation in civil society, as a member of Parliament, as a cabinet minister, and now as the 11th Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Your service to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has been sewn into the national fabric and has made us stronger. As we bid you a farewell, Your Excellency, we thank you. We thank you and Lady Smith, because we are better because of your contributions and your service, sir. And in the spirit of that great Athenian oath, you have transmitted the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, not only not less, but greater and more beautiful than it was transmitted to you. On behalf of the leader of the opposition and the entire opposition, we wish you all of God's grace in covering you and Lady Smith in what's next for you. It may be being involved, still serving the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, or it may simply be fishing on a boat on Long Island. God's blessings on you and Lady Smith, and we thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. We will now be favored with a duet by Mrs. Alisa Edgecombe and Jessia Scott, both students at Sadie Curtis Primary School. Welcome them as they come. Thank you, Alyssa and Jasia. Well done. Give them another round of applause. I don't think I was brave like them at that age. It is now my distinct honor to invite the Honorable Philip Davis, Prime Minister, to the podium to bring remarks at this time. All stand.
Please be seated. Protocol having been established, let me say good evening to each and every one of you. We gather here today to thank His Excellency, the Most Honorable Cornelius A. Smith, for his 4 years of service as Governor General and for a lifetime of service as a politician, member of cabinet, and diplomat. It is often said that public service is a calling. When this nation called Sir Cornelius, he answered with more than 40 years of service to the Bahamian people. When he was sworn in as Governor General in June of 2019, he could not have known that just a few months later, a Category 5 hurricane would devastate the Abaco Coast and Grand Bahama, leaving behind tragedy, destruction, and grief, and a sobering understanding of the dangers we confront in a new climate era. He also could not have known in June of 2019 that less than a year into his service as a Governor General, a pandemic would be the cause of so much disruption and interruption. Yet, throughout his term, he served with a steadiness and propriety that were a source of support and reassurance for Bahamians. In November of 2020, in recognition of the enormous need for support throughout our nation, he oversaw the launch of the Volunteer Bahamas Initiative. He was motivated, I'm sure, by his long record of philanthropic contributions and participation. The new initiative allows the Office of the Governor General to use its resources and influence to recruit and organize volunteers for the crucial work done by NGOs and charities. Last month, we passed the Volunteer Society Act 2023 so that Volunteer Bahamas can more robustly pursue the important goal of expanding volunteerism throughout our islands. Thank you, Sir Cornelius, for your vision and for laying the foundation for this initiative. I believe and I share this simple but powerful understanding that helping others is life-changing, not just for the recipient of the support, but for the volunteer as well. When we are engaged in purposeful work, in helping others, we put in motion a virtuous cycle of for ourselves and for our communities and for our nation. Whatever our nation's future holds, we will face it better if we can build civic strength and empower community organizations. Thank you for this legacy and for your steady professionalism and service to the Bahamian people as Governor General, as a minister in government, and as an ambassador. I have no doubt you will continue to inspire Bahamians to volunteer, to contribute, and to serve. Thank you for serving our beautiful nation so faithfully. Godspeed to Cornelius, and may He continue to bless you and Lady Cara in your next life as you move on. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for your inspiring remarks, reminding us of the work and the vision of His Excellency and the legacy that he has left for us. I now invite Ms. Danielle Dorset to render a selection. Bravo, Miss Dorset, bravo. Your Excellency, I'm going to say that she is a Dorset from Cat Island. Thank you, Miss Dorset. It's now my honor and pleasure to invite His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius A. Smith, Governor General, to respond to all that was said and sang this evening. All stand, Your Excellency.
While you are standing, please join me in congratulating the talent that we've just seen displayed by those young people. I had to say to the Prime Minister, consider what they could be if their voices were trained. What you heard was from untrained voices. I just leave that out there because I'm sure that somebody's ear is pricked up. Please be seated. Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister and Cabinet Ministers, Honorable Senators, President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Members of Parliament, Reverend Ministers of the Clergy, Madam Secretary to the Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Permanent Secretaries, heads of departments, Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Commander of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, former Governors General, former Prime Ministers, my dear wife, Clara, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I wish to thank the Prime Minister and the official opposition, the leader, deputy leader for the official opposition, for your most generous remarks. I'm truly flattered by the sentiments expressed by each of you. Distinguished guests, I wish firstly to express my gratitude to Almighty God for sustaining me all through my life, and especially during the time that I had the high honor, a distinct pleasure, and privilege of serving the people of the Bahamas as their head of state. My life journey was long, but extremely rewarding. The journey took me from the tiny settlement of Snow Hill in Long Island to Capitol Hill in Washington, and then on to Mount Fitzwilliam. What a climb. The journey would not have been possible without the sound advice, without the generous support, without the encouragement from many, many persons along the way. I wish, first of all, to thank my wife, Lady Smith, my children, Clayton, Cornelia, and Alvin, for their constant love and support during this journey. Distinguished guests, upon ascending to the office of Governor General, I pledged to the nation that I would use this high office to promote service to country, and unity among our citizens. I always held the view that the greatest contribution that one could make in life is to serve others. And in that regard, I invited citizens to voluntarily reach out to our brothers and sisters across the archipelago and provide assistance to the less fortunate in our society. You see, in this way, it is my hope that our people will develop a renewed level of respect and love for fellow citizens. You have indeed responded to this invitation, and I thank you for the manner in which so many, either individually or collectively, have given much of their time, their talent, and their treasure just to help others. I'm encouraged by our young people's zeal to acquire a sound education so as to enable them to become productive members of our society. I sense that they desire a new level of understanding of what it really means to be a Bahamian. Our discussions, our interactions have given me the encouragement and renewed hope for the future success of our country as our young people grow to assume the leadership of our country. Now, as patron of the Governor General's Youth Award Program, I commend the leaders and the volunteers for their extraordinary work carried out in this program. The youth participants in this program are simply amazing. Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, please accept my gratitude for your kindness, your guidance, and your support as I discharge the responsibilities of the high office of Governor General. I also express thanks to the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Minnis, former Prime Minister, for the confidence he reposed in me when he recommended me to assume the high office of Governor General of this nation. But equally so, I owe a debt of gratitude to former Prime Minister Ingram for contributing to my journey when he appointed me to serve in his cabinet. I am eternally grateful to my security detail, the staff of the Government House, of both the administrative, household, and maintenance team, who, without their help, without their support, the accomplishments of which we are justly proud would not have been possible. Lady Smith and I thank them for their service, and I encourage them to continue to serve our nation with zeal, with efficiency, and with dedication. Additionally, I am grateful to both the Commissioner of the Royal Bahamas Force, the Police Force, and the Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force for the duties they perform in their respective roles as Provost Marshal and Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to extend my sincere congratulations to the Honorable Cynthia Alexandria Mother Pratt, who will assume the office of Head of State tomorrow. Mrs. Pratt has made many notable contributions to the improvement of our nation, and I am deeply impressed by her dedication to raising the standards of all Bahamians. I wish her every success as she assumes this office. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, As I stated in my remarks on the 50th independence anniversary of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, together we have weathered many storms, both natural and otherwise. And every time we have emerged stronger. Our history is testament to our ability to overcome adversity and embrace the opportunities that lies before us. And so as I demit office, I am confident that the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, with all of its challenges, all of its complexities, is still the best little country in the world in which to live, to work, to play, and to raise a family. Lady Smith joins me in thanking Almighty God, through whose will and power I have been allowed to serve the people of the Bahamas. May God bless each of you, and may his blessings flow all across these chain of islands and keys now and forever. It's just our time to say farewell and thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. His Excellency reminded us that it is not where you start, but that with courage, perseverance, and focus, you can indeed reach the top of the mountain. Even if it's Mount Fitzwilliam, you can reach the top of the mountain. So that's my cue to tell us that we're getting ready for the departure of Their Excellencies for the farewell salute by the Guard of Honor, which is comprised of members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and the Royal Bahamas Police Force. I invite you to remain in your seats until the end of the salute. And you can see all that is happening on the monitor, we hope. And those on this side can actually look out the window so we can stay in a nice air-conditioned tent as we see the final salute to His Excellency.
Up on the end, number 1 platoon. Up, point spot, number 2 platoon. Carry down the line. Stand still. Front right. Up, point spot. Carry down the line. Up on the end, number 1 platoon. Stand still. Back first man, number 2 platoon. Stay. Carry on down the line. Stay. Stand still. Rear right. Caravana. Eyes. Shoot.
course, this is a national event, and of course, the ZNS network covers the entire Bahamas on television and on radio. So, to all of our listeners on radio, you are, of course, hearing the actual inspection part now of the outgoing Governor General, His Excellency Sir Cornelius A. Smith. The honor guard is there, police and defense, and the Governor General, outgoing Governor General, is now doing his final inspection. There's in the inspection party the Governor General, the parade commander, the commissioner, the commodore, commissioner of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, the Governor General's aide-de-camp, the commissioner's aide-de-camp, and the commodore's aide-de-camp. Now, a 21-gun salute will take place by the Royal Bahamas Defense Artillery under the command of a special person who we will get the name of in a minute. After that, there will be the national anthem and the short version, and then there'll be fanfare as we say farewell to the 11th Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the 10th Bahamian to hold that office. Your thoughts, Jimenita?
It's been a wonderful evening. I note that as the Governor General makes his inspection, he is chatting with a few of the officers, always gracious, always kind. I imagine he's giving them some encouraging words. The ceremony was not long at all. During his address, the Governor General obviously thanked a number of people that included Prime Minister Davis, the former Prime Ministers Hubert Ingram and Hubert Minnis, who were, I guess, crucial in his appointment as the Governor General. He also thanked his security detail as well as his wife and children, and he also extended the greatest wishes on her success to the incoming Governor General, Cynthia Mather-Pratt. So obviously, he concurs that this is, of course, the best little country in the world to live, work, and raise a family, and quite dignified. He just said it's a time also to say farewell and thank you. So I think a wonderful ceremony of farewell to His Excellency.
Can you imagine what he's feeling right now, though? It must be really very emotional, you know?
I would imagine.
Particularly when you think about, being a little boy in Long Island, and now
to the highest office of Mount Fitzwilliam.
It's really quite a very fortunate set of accomplishments for him.
And then being a teacher, like we talked about earlier with P.S. Thompson, when you drive around, you just see the pink wall, and you maybe can't imagine, maybe one day I will be the Governor General, you know what I mean? So to move from, his beginnings to being here in this house and serving for about 5 years, I think it is.
Yes.
So I feel that maybe he feels very accomplished.
Absolutely. Excuse me. So I assume now that he will return to Grand Bahama
I think that is the expectation. He and Lady Clara.
And yes, absolutely. And I'm sure the Grand Bahamians will be happy to have him back home for good.
Yes.
It's a little tricky, though, the weather here, because it was very rainy today. And the grass.
It's very damp.
It's damp and it's muddy.
Very damp and muddy.
So you got to be kind of careful how you
have to walk
actually maneuver yourself around.
Yes. So I appreciate that they have them on the concrete aspects of the pathways. I'm sure that made it much easier during the walk through as well. So he looks like he's going back to
the days.
The days.
Giving his farewell salutes there. And then there will be that 21-gun salute. And then the fanfare from the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force bands. short version of March on Bahama Land. Her a unique fashion statement, doesn't she?
She is very well dressed for the occasion. What better statement than black and white?
Absolutely. Ah, that's lovely.
Yes.
She's embracing a young student, I believe that is a CR worker uniform. I may be incorrect there, but a touching moment there.
So all of the guests have also exited from the tent as well. So I don't know if they're going to wave to the Governor General as well as he makes his way back around the building to the entrance. He looks like he's chatting with the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, doing some handshakes. So final farewells, I guess.
It is. And, you know, a lovely ceremony, I think, and, you know, within the hour. So, which really we sometimes fail to do, but the protocol should be a very sort of precise and short ceremony. They get ready. The outgoing Governor General holding his wife's hand.
I think they've been
Romance
together
at any age.
more than 6 decades, huh? We're together a very long time.
Yes. We wish them well as they move on to a different chapter.
Yes. So they're making their way up to Pathway. I think his car is waiting at the top for them. So a short walk.
Yes. But I'm sure his family's very proud of him. You know.
Obviously, the nation would be very proud as well.
Very few people get to reach that level.
And as he mentioned, he would have served with two former United States presidents. Well, not served, but as an ambassador.
Yes, so he would have worked in
along
some
with
kind of
Prime Minister, President
special
Bush,
audiences with them.
and President Obama, and also under the two monarchs.
Monarchs, yes.
So
really, I guess the next thing will be his memoir.
I was just going to get to that. Obviously, a book may be coming next.
Yes. And of course, we say farewell to him today, and tomorrow we welcome our 12th Governor General.
Her Excellency, she will become Her Excellency, the most honorable.
Well, she won't become Her Excellency until she actually meets with the King, and he confers the Dame, the DCMG on her. That's when she will become Dame.
When everything becomes very formal.
But I understand that the sign is that once she signs tomorrow, the oath, that she will become the most honorable. So that is the way it goes.
To the most honorable Cynthia Mother Pratt will become our 12th Governor General.
Final thoughts before we close down and send it to the Bahamas tonight after this.
Well, as I said earlier, a great evening, a wonderful contributor to service for the country. I think he was excellent in what he did, and his message was always about being excellent and serving the country. So to serve for such a long time in such a great capacity, I think this is a wonderful way to say farewell to His Excellency. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's been a wonderful ceremony, and I've enjoyed it. Some lovely remarks made, and even from him, I enjoyed some of the things he said. They seem to come straight from the heart. But that will sort of really conclude our broadcast here from Mount Fitzwilliam.
But make sure to tune in the morning, where we will be covering.
At 8:30, yep. Actually, both of us will be here again tomorrow morning. Yeah, our
very early morning.
Our broadcast begins at 8:30 a.m. But right now, stay tuned for the Bahamas Tonight, right here on the ZNS Network. On behalf of the entire ZNS production team, I'm Julian Reed.
I'm Jimenita Swain. Good night.
Good night.
Lastly, without the support, the help, the guidance that I got from Prime Minister Davis, the journey would not have been as successful as it is today. And so I wish to place on record my profound thanks to each of those persons who made this all possible.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the National Report.